Welcome to Sex Talk Radio, a podcast that explores kink and sex through candid and curious conversations. Join me and expert guests in exploring taboos and unpacking what it means to be sex and kink positive. I recently squirted for the first time, and it was a lot of liquid. That's why I'm so glad that I've since found Splash Blanket. They create incredible waterproof blankets for all types of fluids. They have them in a bunch of different sizes and textures, and they are truly incredible and very absorbent. Go to splashblanket.us and use code SEGGS for 15% off of your entire order. Lube is important for a lot of different sexual experiences, whether it is solo play or partnered play. It can enhance sensation and just make everything so much more enjoyable. I really love Mochi Melt. Their product is extremely high quality. It smells and tastes delicious, and it looks great on your bedside table. My favorite flavor is Honeydew. 10 out of 10, I recommend and love Mochi Melt. Go to mochimelt.com and use code THEA, THEA, for 15% off of your order. Today's episode of Sex Talk Radio is sponsored by the HUD app. HUD is changing the face of casual dating by offering an alternative and empowered approach to commitment-free dating. Go to hudapp.com/sextalk, that's hudapp.com/SEGGS talk for a week on me. A quick note, the HUD app is available on both iOS and Android and is available to users 18 and over. Karley Sciortino, welcome to Sex Talk Radio.
Thank you. I'm so
excited.
excited.
Me too. I feel like we're already jamming. I'm really excited that you're here. I've been listening to your book and I feel like we're kindred slutty spirits. And I've been taking a bunch of notes because I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I experienced that. And I just think a lot of women need more strong, smart, slutty role models. So you're definitely one of mine.
Thank you so much. I do too. I feel like when I was growing up, if I had more slutty role models, I would have been potentially less chaotic and self-shaming.
Yes. And I mean, I think there's also something that makes it more desirable and kinky to have all of the repression of wanting to do it. But yeah, if there was more role models, it'd be a little different. Yeah, so I'm going to let's just jump into a couple of my favorite quotes so far. Since my teens, part of me has been infatuated with the rebelliousness of being a girl who slept around, but there was another part of me that thought, let's be real, there's probably something wrong with me. And I think that just speaks to the shame. And you grew up really Catholic, right? Or
I did grow up really I did grow up really Catholic. Did you?
No.
Okay.
I grew up very both my parents experienced extreme religion and conservative family members. And so when they had me, they were like these hippies in Alaska doing acid. It was like a whole thing. They were very chill. And so when they had me, they were like, let's let her do whatever she wants. But I mean, I would say 90% of the guests I have on had extreme religious upbringings.
Well, you're the perfect example then that you don't need repression to end up being slutty.
Yes.
Your parents were like, do whatever you want. And you were like,
I want to be slutty. Yeah. Yeah.
I choose this path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that especially, obviously, it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're told don't have sex, I don't think that automatically means that you want to have sex with everyone all the time forever. But I often think with religion, it can go two ways, where obviously your repression can be repressive for the rest of your life and you can live under an enormous amount of shame, or you can sort of turn that shame into some kind of subversive, transgressive drive. That famous John Waters quote, "Thank God I'm Catholic, so sex will always be dirty." Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of truth to that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for me. I think some of my exploration and sluttiness in my teen years was definitely because my parents were keeping a close eye on me. While we weren't religious, there was a lot of drug activity in my small town in Alaska. And so they were just scared that I was going to get into that. And so I think that perpetuated it. But in your book, you were talking about the teenager car sex and having to get really creative to fuck as a teenager or just to play as a teenager. And it's, yeah, that was very true to my story as well. But it's been an interesting journey because so there was like that, and then there was very alcohol-heavy induced college sexual exploration for me, and then that got unhealthy, and then now I'm in this era of like kink has become a big part of it, and it feels much healthier now, I would say.
So, what made you realize that you were drinking too much to the point that it was negatively impacting your sexuality?
Oh, yeah. So growing up in a really small town, I had no like big party social anxiety experiences. And so right when I got to college, it was like, I don't know how to socialize in this way. And so, I mean, the very first day I got to college, my roommate and I like did ecstasy and got wasted. And it was like literally heavy, hard alcohol drinking every night. And so I learned how to be social with alcohol, and I learned how to have sex with alcohol. And so I moved from Northern California to LA because I had a cannabis company, and I just started hitting an unhealthy spot where I was like blacking out and having sex and not remembering things. And a couple people made comments about my drinking. So I'm actually 90 days sober today.
Wow.
Yeah. I had 4 years, but then I was like, I've done a lot of therapy. I bet I can drink alcohol. So that didn't work out. But yeah, I'm 90 days sober today. I'm going to go get my chip like at a Hollywood AA, try to hang out with some famous sober people.
Oh my God, I feel like Hollywood AA would be quite good. Or
I know.
Beverly Hills would just be like actually bizarre.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. Maybe I can find a daddy there though.
Exactly.
Daddy.
But I have a friend, I quote her all the time. Her name is Dr. Jana Vrangalova. She teaches human sexuality at NYU.
Ooh, amazing.
And you know, she had said to me once, if you need to get drunk to have sex, that's probably sex that you don't authentically want to be having. And I was like, how dare you tell me that? I don't want to know that. But yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. Because I think that, like you said, how you can use alcohol as a social lubricant to feel more comfortable or more confident or whatever. Definitely, I used to use it far more as a sexual lubricant.
Sure,
sounds,
literally.
Yeah, like, sounds wrong. But
use that too.
But rather than just lubricating, it created all of these new desires for things that I mean,
it can almost open you up, and like if you're not a problematic drinker, I think that being buzzed or intoxicated, it lowers your, what's the word?
Inhibitions.
Yes. And so it's like those more intense kinks or fantasies can come through, and you're like, let's fucking try anal or whatever, like whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
That wasn't the case for me, healthy-wise, but I think it can, maybe, I don't want to say positive, but.
For me, like, I still do like to have a couple of drinks. I don't need to have a couple of drinks before having sex, but it does loosen me up in a good way. But I used to drink so much more to the point that, I don't know if this is like this for you, but after more than 2 drinks, it's really hard for me to feel much. You know, maybe a few drinks, depends how strong the drinks are. But if I have 3 martinis, it's very unlikely that I'm going to come.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I think we think of, you know, getting wasted is impacting men's ability to perform, but it impacts women's ability to perform, but we can just hide it. And they
like
can't.
Guys get like Coke dick, and we get like, it's definitely difficult to come with that. And this last time in my exploration of drinking, it was like, it just started going back to that place again of like things getting a little blurry, and it's like, sex is fucking awesome. Like, I want to remember it. So sometimes you don't. Probably is good that I blacked out some of those things that happened in my 20s. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about teenage life. I've listened to some of your stories and transitions in life, but I'd love for you to share for people that are just meeting you.
Well, it just sounds cliche to be the stereotype of the slutty Catholic girl, but I do think that there was some correlation with me between being told no and then wanting to explore that even more. You know, I was told don't have sex until you're married. Didn't make it. But
you got a promise, or not a promise ring, a purity ring.
No,
right?
promise ring.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was funny. But then for a while, when you grow up religious, you actually did think, I did think, okay, I will wait.
I can do this.
Yeah, and I was in high school in the early 2000s, aka like the darkest time in American culture.
Oh, yeah.
And what's so funny about reflecting on the early 2000s, which is only 20 years ago, but our biggest cultural sex symbols at the time were 16-year-old slutty virgins. It was like Britney Spears writhing around on the ground at the MTV Music Awards, like naked with a snake, singing "I'm a slave for you" and being like, "I'm not gonna have sex until I'm married." So that was really confusing as a teenage girl.
That's confusing.
I know, it was crazy. So I think that there was some kind of disconnect between thinking, you know, I can be sexual and be sexy and I'm wearing a crop top with no bra, but I can wait till I'm married. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't make it that far, but I think it was a really confusing time.
Sure. Who are the other sex symbols?
Like Christina Aguilera.
Okay. Oh my God. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a little younger than you, so it's slightly different.
Yeah, it was like teens.
Which is kind of pervy.
It's so crazy. So you would have been little, but do you remember, have you seen since then that iconic Britney Spears Rolling Stone cover where she's shot by David LaChapelle, where she's like
she
in
wet?
a bed. Oh. No, she's not wet, but it would make sense if she was. She's like in a bed, lying back with her like little girl cardigan pulled open, so it's just her bra showing, and like panties.
And she's underage.
And like going like this at the camera with a phone, and she's 16 years old. God. That's so crazy. We just wouldn't do that now.
No, we wouldn't.
And we were just sexualizing children.
Yeah. And then women your age were like, okay, I want this and I'm curious, but not for 5 more years or like whatever.
Yeah, it was a really big period of sort of the objectification of young women, but also self-objectification. What I think is kind of interesting about the early 2000s, it's where like now feminism is so pervasive and the idea of sex positive culture and body positivity, like we talk about all that stuff.
Right.
In the early 2000s, feminism went dark for a second. Like that was not a part of the culture. And instead we got like Girls Gone Wild, like the popularization of thong underwear. Yeah, Paris Hilton like flashing her vagina to paparazzi while getting out of a Suburban on her way to the club. Like it was...
Fuck feminism.
Yeah, it was a really confusing time to develop your sexuality.
Okay.
And also it was an era where like having an eating disorder was glamorous.
Oh my gosh. So everyone was so skinny, so tiny.
Yeah. Aspirationally.
Yeah. Oh.
I know. So I think that young women now have it a little better. But,
definitely.
But then they have social media, so that sounds like its own whole nightmare.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so growing up in the 2000s, and then I'm trying to. There's a transition where did you move to London or like your rebellious adventures?
Yeah, I moved to London right after I graduated high school to allegedly go to college, but I dropped out after one semester. Yeah. I just didn't want to go to school. I mean, the thing is, I was good in high school, but I do think I grew up in a small town like you.
Yeah.
Strict curfew, there was a lot of rules. And I just
get the fuck out.
I did. I just was like, okay, I want to get 3,000 miles from here. And then, I got to London, drinking age was 18. I could go to bars.
Oh my. At 18?
Yeah. And I just started drinking a lot. And it was just this culture shock, too, of meeting people from all over the world. Like, in the town I grew up in, I had never met an out gay person. It was like
we
crazy.
had one half black person. Very small town.
Yeah. Imagine being that person, too. I'm like, that would probably be quite difficult.
Well, you mentioned in your book, too, that thing that Dan Savage always says, which I love him. And I would not be here today or not be like here doing the podcast if it wasn't for him. But the advice he gave to like, a closeted gay man in a small town, and his advice was get the fuck out. And it's like, not necessarily what you'd expect, but it's really true. Like the kind of trope of the person that stays in the small hometown that's married with a bunch of kids, like it's what happened in my town. So
do you go back there now?
My dad sort of lives there. I have a weird family, but I go back like once a year for the summer. But I mean, like Alaska's fucking epic. So like to go do the touristy stuff And that is great. But yeah.
I've never been.
Oh, you should.
I know. Like,
you could do some good work up
what
there.
Should I
just
do?
like interviewing fucking, I don't know, freaky Alaskan people. It's like 5 men to every 1 woman or something.
Really?
Yes.
So it's a good place for women to go find a boyfriend. Trap a husband?
Trap a husband. I mean, they're all like men that live off the land. And I mean, some people are into that. But yeah, it's an interesting place. I'm glad I got out. I've always been very entrepreneurial and wanted to adventure. Another little quote I have written down here is, sex became my ultimate fascination. What about it is so special as to make it forbidden?
Right?
I liked that one.
Where it's like, don't look in this box.
Right.
And you're like, why?
What's in it? What's so exciting?
It is actually a really interesting thing where when you grow up, your parents talk to you about most things, right? Things to aspire toward. Where do you want to go to college? These are the kinds of friends that you should have.
Yes.
Also, like, this is the kind of husband. I remember my mom talking about the sort of marriage that you should aspire to, all of these things. But with sex, it's just this huge area that goes completely undiscussed, which is so crazy.
We're like catching these glimpses of it being insanely erotic and hot. Like, I remember being a kid and watching sex scenes or like, PG-13 sex scenes in movies and being like turned on when I was very young. And it's like, but then it's like, we can't talk about it. We're not going to even tell you what that is. Like, but seeing it, it's everywhere.
I know. It's literally Britney Spears naked on your TV when you're 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like MTV music videos feeling pornographic.
For sure.
Like that's when I grew up, you could just I would come home and watch MTV on TV, like TRL. Were you around for that? Oh my God, you missed out. But they were so hypersexual. It was just like women in underwear grinding. Mm-hmm. Like our culture is so fucked. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fuck yes.
Okay.
Let's talk about nastier shit. Let's go.
But say Seggs instead of sex.
That's just so I don't get banned on. We can't even say sex on social media. Like sex is kind of okay sometimes, but I just didn't want to take any risks.
No, Seggs is really funny. I've seen other sex podcasters or whatever do it as well. Mm-hmm. No, it's so crazy. When I was promoting this writing, whatever, I talk about sex on my Instagram. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And even in my bio, it has to be like S***X, because I'm trying to write like sex and relationships for Vogue. And it's like insane that you can be shadow banned just by saying that word. That is so dark.
It is dark, especially given the hypersexuality of American culture. Like, we are fucking, like, people like, I don't know, kind of men or from around the world that are in more conservative countries, like, slide into my DMs and they're like, America, like this, where all the women are, adventurous. And like, people around the world just see American culture as just like free and liberated and sexual. But yet we literally can't say that word. And an example that I always give is like, I was posting my episode that like really got the podcast viral was about blowjobs, of course. And it went super viral, got me like 30,000 followers. And those clips were fine on TikTok where I was muting the words still, but like those were fine. And then I posted a video of my friend talking about like female pleasure, word pleasure, and like that got deleted. That got a community guideline violation on TikTok.
The word pleasure?
Yes.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it's some Black Mirror shit.
What were you saying about blowjobs that got everyone so crazy?
Just men on Instagram were like, it hit dude Instagram.
Were there tips?
Yes, top 5 tips. So I think they were like, yes, spread the good word. And my friend that was on she does actually teach blowjob classes. And so the tips were accurate, which I think men were also excited about, instead of being like, that's not fucking true. Like, they're accurate. So, yeah.
Can you give me one? I'm just so curious. Can you tell me
totally
one tip?
So okay. Lubrication, super fucking important. I kind of like hate spitting. Like,
really? You give spit to me.
I give spit.
Yeah.
I I'm like, okay, spitting on a dick, but I don't want to get spit on. Yeah, I don't really like spit. So anyways, lots of lubrication is important. I think a lot of guys have more dry blowjobs than they would like. Lubrication, hand-mouth coordination.
Okay.
Eye contact. Porn did that one, I think. Like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Eye contact. Oh, and enthusiasm. So like, that's the one. She pulled a bunch of guys, like hundreds of guys. And as much as I talk shit about men on here sometimes, like I also just, they don't want to make, most of them don't want to make women uncomfortable with sex. They want to know that she really fucking wants to be there. And so the enthusiasm, they don't want a forced blowjob unless that's a pre-arranged consent-based discussion.
Right.
But like, so yeah, enthusiasm was like the top one. Like you can feel that she's pumped to be down there. Yeah. So those are some of the top tips.
Those are good. I'm going to try and implement those.
I recently squirted for the first time, and it was a lot of fluid. I was surprised. I squirted like 5 times in a row the first time I did it, and everything was drenched. I spent the entire next day doing multiple loads of laundry, and as excited as I was to have squirted for the first time, I also realized that I needed a solution for the problem at hand. So I am so excited to be working with Splash Blanket. They create incredible waterproof blankets. They can be used for squirting, for sex in general. They absorb up to 1 liter of liquid. I mean, I just use mine as a cozy blanket. They are extremely diverse, and I absolutely love them. So go to splashblanket.us and use code SEGGS, SEGGS, for 15% off of your entire order. If you know me and you watch the podcast, you know that I like watching porn for my self-pleasure rituals. One of my favorite websites to go to is xoafterglow.com. What I have found with mainstream porn is that a lot of it is created for the male gaze. It's a lot about the man's pleasure, and it just doesn't feel super authentic and connected. What I really love about Afterglow is that it is for everyone, and it is founded by a woman. I've actually had the pleasure of working with her here in Austin, and I love their mission. You can also find educational porn on their website called EduPorn, and there is just so much to learn and watch there. So go to xoafterglow.com and use code XOTHEA. What has dating been like for you the last few years in LA?
It's been interesting because I got out of a long relationship a couple years ago.
Okay. So how many years?
We were together for almost 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like the first half of my 30s. So it was interesting to become single at 36.
Sure.
And start dating where
society is like, are you settling down?
Yeah. Well, it was a really fascinating transition because when I was getting out of the relationship, like during the breakup process, I remember saying to
Did you have a slut phase? Do you have a re-slut ever phase?
I did have a re-slut phase. I mean, most of my life was a slut phase, but yeah, after a breakup, I think you need a slut phase.
Yeah.
But this one was more healthy one. It wasn't like a reactive nightmare, like fucking through my depression vibe. It was like a reawakening of my sexuality, I think.
Fuck yes. There can be many variations of a
yeah,
slut
exactly.
phase. Great.
So this was like on the scale of like slut phases. It was like it was on the higher, healthier, more happy, liberated positive side of the scale.
Yeah.
But we've all been all over the scale, I think.
Yeah.
But so I did have some of that anxiety getting out of the relationship, like, dating at 36, like, do men just think you're like a semen vampire who's trying to get pregnant on like date 3?
Semen vampire. Like, what do you mean? Like, because that's the age where people are
trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, like, I thought.
Did you ever have something like that happen?
Where I was trying to get pregnant?
No. Well, maybe, but like, no, I mean like a guy be like, think that you're trying to dupe them or something.
No, I kind of was wondering, do men avoid dating women like in this period where it's like the last time that like, okay, you're like.
When you're the hottest and most successful.
Right. Like 35 to 42, I'm like, do those women feel like if I date them, I'm going to have to get pregnant? They're going to want
the pressure.
There's pressure. Like, we can't just date for a while. They're they're like on the baby train. And I was wondering about that, and it did give me some anxiety. And then as soon as I got single, I was like, I'm not experiencing this at all.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Good.
There was some anxieties about dating in my late 30s. I mean, there is the reality that there are less single men, You know, like a lot of them have paired off by now.
I have found my most pleasant dating experiences are with men that honestly have a divorce under their belt. I'm not even joking. Like sometimes it's like, because they're really careful about like what they want. They're like, I don't want to get divorced again. So they're like much more intentional and I completely agree. We love a divorced daddy.
I have defined this term called second wave feminism, where when you're dating in your like 30s, 40s, that you have to get men on the second wave. So like they've already done the big relationship. So they're either divorced or they're out of like a long relationship. Yes. So they're like broken in, they're house trained.
You know what's also really fun is like fucking them, but they haven't had really good sex in a long time.
Oh, that's like the hilarious dark version of it. But I love that you went there.
Like the validation of like, oh my God, yeah.
You see their face, so they're like,
yeah, I like it.
No, that is fun. I haven't had that yet. You have to get a man like really right fresh. Out of
the courthouse.
That's so funny.
The divorce one, not the marriage one.
Yeah, like so. But I think if you want to blow their mind right out of the courthouse, if you want to date them, meet them in a year.
Yes.
So they had their slut phase, and now they're ready to commit again. And you know they know how to commit if they've already been in a big relationship. Because I think if a guy's 40 and he's never been in a relationship, it's a bit of a red flag as well. You know?
I had this sugar daddy guy that I got a crush on, and he was 47, and like I started to develop feelings, but then I was like, you've never lived with a woman. Never been married. And it was like, I know where this is going. So, yeah, didn't work out. But if they've never lived with a woman at that age, and he was super comfortable with it.
What age do you kind of think you should have? That's a complicated one.
Yeah.
The living with.
A lot of layers.
Yeah, I know.
But to be so hyper independent that you've never cohabitated with somebody, I'm like,
I know. There's a lot of things to navigate. We all have our probably red flags. But I do think that, to me, as someone at 38, if you've never been in a serious relationship by your late 30s, I don't know if I want to be the person that like breaks you in. Because
Mommy's tired. We're tired of these projects. No projects.
I know, because there is so much you learn. You can only learn in relationship to someone. Yeah. You know, there's a lot. Yes. And I think that those people that are never single, those people also are a little bit of a red flag.
Yes. Oh, I mean, serial monogamists. It's like, to me, that shows an inability to be comfortable with yourself and like alone. And it shows me that maybe there's some settling happening because you're just more comfortable in partnership. What's funny is I'm having this younger guy era right now.
Okay. How young are these people?
Some are pretty young.
Like 18.
I don't know if I want to tell that story on here yet, to be perfectly honest. But what I will say is usually I always dated older because I was like, I need smart, mature, successful, like I'm smart. I need this guy that's like entrepreneurial, blah, blah, blah. I had my fucking list. And I dated those guys for a while, but I don't know who is telling me this, but they were making this distinction of guys that are at least in their 30s are more difficult to date because they just see women their age as like these endless options. And like, I'm going to fucking butcher this, but like guys' societal value kind of goes up as they age. They have more money. There's just like the guys in their 40s, 50s, George Clooney, they look better, whatever. Whereas women are like, there's this societal narrative of us peaking at a certain age, like in our 30s. And so men in their 40s, it's better to go older or younger is basically what this thing was saying. And I think I totally butchered that. But
it's better for a woman to go older or younger.
Yes,
not date
because
your age.
Like, and I've experienced that. So like I'm 31. When I date guys my age, it feels like this energy of like, there's just, you know, you're one in a million on a fucking swiping dating app. Where as I feel a little bit more prioritized by an older guy, and they're just gentlemanly, like guys of a different generation. Yeah. But so I've also noticed something with younger guys, and it's more of this like worshipy thing. And so I've also been in a mommy dom era. So I'm in dom school with Colette.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's really fun. And so anyways, like younger guys just like want to worship hot older women. highly suggest. 10
That's
out of 10.
cool. And you think that there is something I think that's very beautiful about age gap relationships, even just casually, because there is this sort of like teacher-student component where you are gaining in an ideal situation some sort of wisdom. Yeah. Even just when I would be younger and sleep with older guys, I felt like I could feel more like, I mean, there's older people that are absolutely psychotic, obviously, but
I felt more embodied and free. I don't know.
Yeah, there was like an ease, and a maturity and an experience that like put me at ease, and I think I learned some stuff from them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Age gap is, and again, I mean, it's like anything that's kind of taboo like that is hot.
Yeah. Also, it might say something good about the younger guys who are looking to sleep with older women, potentially for that sort of experience or wisdom. Right. Like, I don't think all younger guys are looking to sleep with women 10 years older than them. No.
I'm pretty pumped about Gen Z, to be honest. Like, they're sweet. I don't know.
Are you cusp?
I'm millennial.
You're a millennial.
I'm full millennial. Yeah.
Okay.
But these younger, 23, 26-year-olds I've been sleeping with, they are definitely Gen Z. And they're a little, I don't want to use the word woke. They're just like a little bit more, I guess, progressive. And pretty like kink aware too. So I don't know.
Well, they grew up in the post 50 Shades era. Like, do you remember when we were young? God. Like, nobody knew about BDSM.
50 Shades of Grey was a big fucking like.
It actually was. It's like funny because it's cheesy and blah blah blah,
like,
whatever.
The book sucks and the movies are.
But it like the amount of just pure. So it kind of blew up in 2012.
How old were you?
In 2012, I was already I was probably in my mid-20s, late 20s.
When did you do Slutever? Late 20s?
Why am I so stupid? Okay, so it actually right around then. So I think the first web series, it started as a web series. We did a few seasons online, and it started in 2012, I think.
So there's more than what I've seen on Vice on a different website?
It would be on Vice.com. They were like 10-minute episodes. And they're probably on the Vice YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'm sure some of them got lost. They're not all there anymore, which kind of sucks. But there was a few seasons online.
Yeah.
And then some of them were good. Like, we went to like a Mormon porn convention. That was really fun. Well, it's like Mormons who don't like porn. It's not like Mormons making porn. Although we did meet some Mormons making porn. It was actually very major. And I was part of a sort of a Mormon porn scene. It was pretty cool.
For not the anti-porn. What do you mean? The people that make porn?
I'm like not saying.
No, it's great.
Okay, so Mormons hate porn. Basically, they think that if you watch 1 minute of porn, then you're a porn addict, and you're like never going to leave your basement. You're just going to jerk yourself off to death.
Let's make a side note for porn addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel mixed.
No, I don't think all Mormons think that, but I think most Mormons think that. Okay. I don't know. These Mormons thought it.
It's fine. They're not listening to this podcast. The only Mormons that are listening to this podcast are closeted, and you're in the right place.
Exactly.
Just keep being weird.
So we went to Salt Lake City to this Mormon anti-porn convention.
Anti-porn. There we go.
And they hate porn. And they're very passionate about it. But we did meet these ex-Mormons who make porn, but they make Mormon porn. So it's all based on
the
outfit. So in the porn, I was like, I didn't rail anyone, but I did get to do a scene where I was like in the Mormon underwear with like the Mormon, like a veil,
Oh my God.
Because the
Mormons probably really fucking hate that stuff.
They hate it, but they watch it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And, you go talk to this Mormon priest or whatever, and you say, I'm going to stay a virgin forever. And so these ex-Mormons are making these like gay Mormon porn scenes where they reenact this childhood,
it's healing.
Adolescent
this stuff can be healing
experience. I know. If you want to watch it, it's mormongirls.com and mormonboys.com.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I went to this, like the one weird little sex club in Austin, and there was a huge, it's one night a month. They have a kink BDSM night. Otherwise, it's just a swingers club, which I don't have a desire to go to that. And there was a huge, there's a fucking crucifixion BDSM scene, and it was wild. The whole club kind of shut down, and they put on like church music, and it was like this hot, curvy woman, and this priest was like, I think he even made her bleed a little bit with like the, yeah.
Wait, I'm into that.
But it was like, I don't have religious trauma, but I felt like watching this thing, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, our parents would hate us.
You're like, I wish I had religious trauma.
I wish I had religious trauma. So segue that moment into like just the healing and full circleness of some of that stuff, of like acting out stuff that was previously triggering or traumatic, like they're doing in these porn scenes. I think it can just create this full circle thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of what BDSM is reenacting, traumatic or complicated power dynamics or sexual dynamics.
I like the word complicated.
Yeah, complicated.
Yeah,
because not
like
everything
that.
bad has to be a trauma,
Totally.
right?
I like that.
But in a safe space where things are litigated before and that there's a consent before. I mean, my sort of intro into the BDSM world was pre 50 Shades of Grey, so I didn't know much about this stuff.
Sure.
And I was assisting a dominatrix. Well, it was basically I was a journalist, and I was.
You are?
Yeah, I am. And I was like 25. I had just moved to New York, and I was writing this profile of a dom. She was this big New York dom called Mistress Darcy, who was famous for doing these really elaborate scenes. Like, she would do kidnapping scenes and
oh my God, love.
Crazy stuff. And so I was doing a profile of her and just shadowing her for a few days. And at the end of it, and she would obviously get permission from her subs, like, can I have someone sit in? And I would just like sit there with my little notebook taking notes, like, okay, like Hasidic Jew, likes being slut shamed in women's underwear. Fascinating.
Dead.
Yeah. So then after the week, she said, oh, it seems like you are really interested in this. And actually some of these clients really liked somebody watching.
I'm a huge voyeur. I would fucking literally die to watch.
Well, but also the clients, it's like it increases the humiliation thing if someone's watching them. So she was like, I realized some of these clients will actually pay more to have someone watching. So she was literally like,
you want a side hustle? Just sit in this corner.
She literally was like, I'll pay $50 to for an hour session to just sit and watch.
Amazing.
And it was like the best education that you could get. I saw the most insane stuff.
Tell me more.
Well, what's kind of interesting is that at first, realistically, you have like sometimes a disgust reaction about certain stuff, like body stuff, or like I watched her pee in somebody's mouth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because a lot of clients will pay. That's a big thing that clients ask doms for. They want to drink their pee. So
it is.
That's a lesson for everyone. Don't.
Yeah, pee
is popular.
Pee is popular. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Yeah.
But so the first time I watched it, I had to leave the room. She was like, she actually warned me. She was like, if you're going to gag or if you're going to throw up, just like, please go outside. And I was like, okay. I thought I'd be fine. And I watched and I really was. I thought I was going to throw up. And it smells and it's intense. But then by the third time, you're just like barely even notice it. You desensitize so quickly.
Would you say in like a couple days of this, there were multiple like pee requests? Like it was
there was a lot of pee happening. Mm-hmm. I actually asked one of the subs about it. I was like, what's so interesting about her pee? And he said something kind of relatable. He was like, I just like the idea of getting like at what's inside of her. But it's kind of, I know, but it's like kind of
wholesome.
It's kind of wholesome because when you're in love with someone, you're kind of like,
want to drink your fluids.
I never want to drink their fluids, but you do have this weird abstract desire to like rip them open and like see what's inside their body. You know what I mean? You like want to be close.
I do with my animals. But that sounds fucked up. But like, no, I'm gonna have to edit that out. No, but I mean, like, you're so cute. I want to eat you.
Yeah, do you want to
I feel with my animals.
I want to be inside you, literally. And I get where there's a similarity.
It's almost like this. It's like an obsession desire. Like, yeah.
It's
I love
intimate.
you so much that I want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm so obsessed with you. There's something here. I mean, I'm sure scientists could figure it out better than me, but I was like, I kind of get it.
Scientists don't give a fuck about this industry.
They don't?
Or maybe you might know more.
Well, some sex researchers. There are some sex researchers, yeah.
But
no, I know.
I just wish there was more.
I know. There is this woman, Dr. Jana Vrangalova, Dr. Jana on Instagram, and she's a sex researcher, and she posts all of this crazy sex research on her Instagram. She has a sex ed Instagram, and I find it fascinating. Like, she'll do studies where it's like, is squirt, just because we keep talking about pee,
yeah, I've been talking a lot about squirting lately.
Pee or not pee, you know, and they'll test it, and it'll be like, it's part pee and it's part not pee, and you're like, wow, finally I know.
Correct answer. I just squirted for the first time recently.
Really? What happened? Was it a positive experience?
It was fucking glorious. And then I got a shout out Splash Blanket sponsor the next day, which was awesome too.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm very transparent on Instagram, so I was like, I messaged them and I was like, I literally just fucking squirted. So the content that I'll create for you is literally in real time about my experience. So it's been fun.
Did you try did it happen by accident?
It fucking happened. And I can only come with toys, like clitoral orgasm wise. And so I think that because I've experienced some shame with that in my life, that I was kind of like, I never thought I would squirt. I'm 31. I've had a lot of fucking sex. And it was just this guy. And this is why it's great to hook up with experienced kinksters, is because they've just really gotten in there and done some shit. And he was fingering me, and he knew where like the A spot was, like past the G spot and it just fucking happened. I've never
heard of that.
Dude, I know. I Googled it. There's like one infographic about it. It's not the G spot. It's the A spot. It's like close to the cervix is where that female ejaculate is released. And so like he was going in really fast and hard, and like it's a fucking workout for the guys, but it was like, and then I did it like 3 more times.
Wow. What does the A spot stand for?
I don't know. Something fancy and scientific. Who cares? Squirt.
But there is a mode. There's a technique, a very scientific technique, which is basically going like this.
Yes. But then like once a woman comes, please stop immediately because that hurts. But yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like, where is that liquid being stored?
There's a gland.
Really?
There's a gland. Yeah.
I almost don't want to know. It's better to just be
It's magical.
Yeah, it's magical.
Anyways, back to P, dominatrixes, Mormons, Slutever.
Well, where are you finding all of these sex freaks that you're sleeping with?
Field.
Oh, that makes sense.
Field's been really good for me in Austin. Austin is very like, everyone's like poly E&M and like, we'll come back to that. And then here, I honestly, I opened up Field last night and I was expecting to see more like hot people, but I don't know. It seems more niche here, even though I'm in a huge city. So we'll see.
You're like, where's all the hot people? No, I rolled my eyes. I wasn't trying to be like a cunt.
No, I'm kind of eye rolly. I get it. I also think that I'm not sure I'm capable of monogamy forever.
Yeah. Oh my God. Makes total sense.
It's terrifying.
I
don't want one dick forever.
Forever. I know. It's kind of confusing because you're like.
It is. Thought we were having a second conversation.
But I just thought you were like, it is, like gravely. It's confusing because who knows, right? I've never been, I don't know. A lot of people do it.
My baseline of my entire life has been slutty, lots of partners. So like, I think I get a little freaked out when somebody starts to feel serious, but I'm like, what about all the other dick in the world?
Have you ever been in a long-term monogamous relationship?
Yes.
How long?
2 years, but literally 3 years ago, I thought I was asexual because I was in a relationship where there wasn't, I don't know, I don't want to be too mean on here, but like there just wasn't attraction. It was very like cozy comfort, platonic almost vibes. But prior to that, had been very adventurous. And then after it as well. So what I have not had yet is a long-term kinky relationship.
Right.
That's passionate. But what I could see myself doing, because I'm pretty deep in power dynamics. Like I have a submissive, like I really like power dynamics and exploring. I think my dream scenario would be like long-term monogamous partner with like an occasional play partner. But what I don't think I have the qualifications for is like fucking poly. Like I'm in a polycule, like my boyfriend, my husband, like that seems like a lot of work. So I don't know.
It seems like a lot of work. I also think that the reality of the situation is that some people talk about, and I think some people are in denial of, is that in a polyamorous relationship, you can't get as deep with someone as you would in a relationship that only has one.
Your time is
primary
being really
romantic partner. Yeah.
Divided.
No, but literally.
Yeah.
I had this friend tell me this story that was crazy. It was like he was poly, right? Or he oriented toward dating multiple people, and that he kind of had this realization moment where that he realized it wasn't right for him when he was on this vacation with one of these women. And they had this like incredible 4-day vacation. It was so nice. And then they had like a really long flight journey back home. So they were like traveling all day, and they like, landed back like 7 p.m. And he was just like, oh man, I'm so tired. Like, doesn't it sound so good? Like, so let's go like cuddle up and order some food. And she was like, oh, tonight's actually my night with like Derek or whatever. And she was like, so I have to go spend time with him. And he's like, it just broke the intimacy so much. It's like, we just had this amazing experience and you're bailing to go immediately be with someone else. And I was like, yeah, that takes a really, really specific type of romantic orientation to be able to handle something like that.
Definitely. Yeah. And what I'm like trying to navigate right now is, because I just have a really addictive personality. So I'm trying to navigate like, what is the addiction or obsession with novelty for me versus like that could actually be pushing me farther away from the relationship I really want, if that makes sense. Because a lot of my encounters on field are like kinky and novel and unique. And so it's like I'm trying to be aware of not getting too, not that I don't want to get hooked on it, that I'm also making space for what I really want long term.
Yeah, but maybe you're just not ready for it. I mean, the thing is that there's many versions of how this goes. Like you could realize that you need an enormous amount of novelty forever for your whole life in terms of different kinds of partners. And then, you know, I think we go through phases though, because after a while, novelty becomes not that novel anymore.
Right. Or you start finding more extreme shit to do.
Right. But it's like when I met my ex, we were together for nearly 5 years, and I was really ready. I was 31, 32. I'd never been in a monogamous relationship, and I was like, yeah.
Let's do this thing.
Like, I was like, if I have, like, the idea of sleeping with another random was so boring. It's like, I already have done this 10,000 times.
To be
it's not novel anymore. So then you're just sort of ready for a different kind of experience, and you're sort of curious, like, who am I in this new situation? What is it like to just sleep with this one person and shut the world off, and what can become novel about that kind of sexual relationship as you get to know someone better. So I think that definitely forcing yourself to shut down novelty because you think that that's the relationship you want in the future, I just wouldn't rush yourself, because then you're gonna get, like, feel repressed.
Yeah. Thanks, Karley. Yeah. No, I appreciate the advice. And also, I want to be open-minded that I could probably fucking have it all. Like, I can find the right person if I want, you know, a play partner as well. So, yeah. Yeah.
And there's also just versions where I think that we think, oh, there's either monogamy or you're poly, right? Or you're open. And I think that there's a lot of
very extreme
middle ground with those things. You know what I mean? You don't have to jump to like fucking someone else.
Right.
In order to feel like there's some room.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, I just want people to understand that a lot of people actually are doing the middle. They're just not really like talking about it. But, you know, I'll talk to people that are married that are like, yeah, we kind of do this thing. Maybe it's once a year, like go to this resort, or like people are fucking freaky. Like the people that you would never know slide into my DMs. And I'm like, I love this for you. I love that you do this crazy shit.
Yeah. I've heard it called hot monogamy. Where I know, Dr. Jana, but that's what she calls it. But it's this idea that you're ultimately in a monogamous relationship, but there are things that you incorporate where it's like, I don't know, maybe you go to a sex party and just watch or just hook up with each other, or maybe once a year you
I love this.
hook up with someone together or monogamy. A couple. Yeah. It's like maybe you hook up with a couple and you don't have penetrative sex, or that there are ways. Yeah,
but it's just not like a huge part of your
and you're not integrating those people into your life, or maybe you watch porn together or whatever it is that is not, because I think our idea of monogamy is so archaic. Like we were like, well, we have the definition from the Oxford English Dictionary and then we just kept that forever, and whatever, your monogamy doesn't have to be your grandmother's monogamy.
Mic drop. Yes, great. So tell me about your passion for journalism and how you went from that to getting Slutever and all that stuff.
Well, I started writing about sex and relationships when I was like 21. I had started a blog called Slutever.
We love somebody who can actually be consistent, though. That's great.
I know.
I've changed my brand 4,000 times.
It's just such a good word. When I was trying to find the name for my book, I did trademark it. But so when I was trying to find the name for my book, I was thinking, should I name it something else? And then I was like, just couldn't think of a better title. Thought for a while. But it started pretty organically. It was the early days of blogs. I just started interviewing people about their sexuality. I was interviewing sex workers or people just like about their sex lives. I was living in a squatted commune at the time.
I did make it to that part. That's where I left off.
So I had like 15 roommates. She was
being artsy and
yeah, exactly. I was like in a artsy hoe phase,
rebellious,
artsy, drunk, blacked out hoe rave phase. But I was fitting some writing in, and I just found it so fascinating to hear about other people's internal lives.
Same.
Yeah.
Sex is fucking crazy. I want to hear about it. I want to hear all the juicy details. And what's funny, just to interject really quick, is like, yes, I have some crazy fucking stories, but the majority of the time I am in my sweatpants at home. Like, I am not doing this shit all the time. And so it's like people kind of project that onto me. Yeah. Like they think I'm doing this shit 7 nights a week. And I'm like, I just love to hear about other people's sex lives, like with the podcast. So
yeah. And it kind of feels like a shortcut to intimacy too. Like you're really getting... I think it reveals so much about someone.
Yeah, it's vulnerable. Okay, so squatting, writing.
So I started doing that, and then, Vice, glory days of Vice, honestly, RIP, it really was so incredible.
How did you connect with them?
Well, my blog, where I was writing about sort of sex and weird sexual subcultures, became kind of popular, and then I started writing for their website because it just sort of, I actually
started writing for Vice.
Yeah, I was an intern there when I was like 21 years old, and started writing for their website. It was sort of a obvious marriage, like Slut Blogger starts writing for Vice in whatever, like 2006.
Totally. Perfection.
Yeah. And I just wrote for them for a really long time. And then kind of organically when they started doing video online, this is like early
Back
days.
in the day, kids.
No, but actually,
like literally,
what's insane is that they were one of the first magazines to have the idea to integrate video on their website, which is
so old right now.
Fucking crazy. Yeah. And so this was like literally in 2010. I started doing stuff for them, and it was very early. They were like developing a video.
And it's like, why would anyone do that? Like, it's,
I know.
I mean, I remember when like even Instagram started doing videos before it was Reels, and it was like, why would they do, it's always like, why would they do that? And then it's like, oh, because this is where technology's headed.
Yeah. And this is what people want to consume. I mean,
yeah, we're lazy as fuck. I don't want to read.
No, me either. I just want to listen to a podcast. I've like rediscovered reading. And I'm like, every time I do it, I'm like, why don't I do this more? And then I stopped.
I do audiobooks. I got to be multitasking.
I know, but it's kind of dark, right? That we can't read.
I know. Yeah. I was just talking about this with Melissa. And like, I can't. It's our inability to focus. I think our generation and younger generations, like we grew up with hyper stimulation. Yeah, I can't. I literally will say I can't read.
I can read sometimes. But
I can read. I'm smart. We're smart, you guys, and we have degrees, and we're slutty. I just mean I can't. I don't want to read.
I don't have a degree.
Oh.
Speak for yourself.
Really?
Okay.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I had a quote that said, like, why can't we, what was the quote? Why can't we have PhDs and also jerk off on video camera on the weekends? I thought you had a PhD.
No, I don't have a PhD, but thank you for thinking that I do give PhD.
You do give PhD.
Oh my God, thank you. No, I did go to 1 semester of college and I learned a lot. Clearly, I'm a genius.
I didn't do anything with my degree. I did international relations so I could go drink alcohol and fuck men in South America.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that the plan originally or that just was a perk?
That was probably the subconscious plan. As a 23-year-old or whatever I was. Yeah.
What does that mean, international relations? Like you're going to be a what?
I don't know.
Foreign correspondent from CNN?
I don't know, dude. I literally just wanted to travel, and that degree, there was a requirement for studying abroad. So they made studying abroad easier.
Oh my God.
International hoe is what that degree was.
International hoe. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
And then, but now your job is not just full-time doing this, is it?
I have a full-time marketing job right now, or what's mostly full-time, technically freelance. But yeah, I had 2 packaged product companies, so very entrepreneurial. And then this is dope and a passion project, but I want to build a sex tech product that's like supported by sex workers. Like I would really like to have women and sex workers involved in the creation of something in the sex space because it's a bunch of old white men out here.
Drew, if you need to know, like if you need references for products, you always have to ask sex workers. Truly, you're like, what's the best lube? They know. Uber lube actually is the answer.
Oh, for the products. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's true. They're professionals.
I love that. They are. Yep.
Yeah, ask a hoe.
That could be a good segment, actually.
You should steal it.
Ask a pro hoe.
But what kind of product? Like a sex toy?
No, tech. Like, I don't want to talk about it too much on here. I'm trying to be very careful, but basically like OnlyFans competitor generally. I mean, not like that. Like, yeah, we can talk about
something
it
that isn't
digital tech.
I see.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to deal with products ever again.
No.
And I feel like everyone has a sex toy line now. And they'll be like, we just put out this new product. And I'm like, no, you wholesaled 10,000 of them from China and other brands have that same product. Like, really? I know how wholesale works and I know how packaged products work. And it's like, people aren't really just like launching all these products that have never been done before. They're just, yeah.
It seems like the market's saturated. It's like, I get sent so many vibrators and a lot of these vibrators are like literal garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a magic wand gal.
Wait,
Hitachi.
Oh my God, really?
Mm-hmm. It's really intense.
Yeah, I feel like
really
that's going to burn my clit off.
Yeah, for some people, totally.
That's like the OG. I mean, when I think about watching porn in the early 2000s, they all had Hitachi wands.
Oh, really?
It was like I feel like it's like this pervasive, iconic
It is
toy.
iconic. It is iconic. They just sent me 25 mini wands for my 1-year birthday party. I'm very excited. They just put out these little micros so you can travel with them.
Oh, that sounds good because the reason, the thing I found alienating when I've seen them or whatever, and I'm like, does it have to be this big?
Well, I mean, the mini one doesn't goes hard, but it doesn't sound like you require that the way I do. So
it can feel overstimulating.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I feel numb.
Yeah. I've just been so single for so long that like, I'm like, I just have ended up with the most intense
Wait, what do you think about being single makes you need to use a Hitachi?
Well, no, I mean like some people will be like, oh, if I'm using vibrators too much, I'm like becoming desensitized. Like I'm desensitizing my clit so that like when I'm with a partner, they can't get me off. And like there's probably some truth to that for me, but I would rather, basically what I'm saying is I don't want to really put any work to like desensitize my clit. Does that make sense? So that a partner could use their hands or I'm like, I'm just single, so I want to be coming.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're like celibate though.
Oh, fuck no. No.
Yeah,
no.
It's the thing is, if you like using sex toys during sex, then who cares if you need to use a sex toy during sex? I'm the same as the people you reference where, to me, I have to do vibrator fasts. Otherwise, you become dependent on it. So it really does impact my ability to come without it.
Yeah. it took me a really long time to get comfortable, like, advocating for my orgasm, because I like to come before my partner does, because I swear that fucking men, once they come, they're like, they forget about our orgasm. So they're like, I guess I could make you come if you wanted me to. And so
I do. I actually do. Weirdly.
So I've been like, and this is more in my Dom era too, where I can like call the shots a bit more, but I'm pretty comfortable now being like, hey, I use a toy to come and I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to make myself come. What is your relationship with power dynamic stuff then?
I've never been BDSM and all of that I find really fascinating. Mm-hmm. You know,
from a journalistic standpoint.
Yeah, from a journalistic standpoint. I like to watch. I've gone to fetish parties, but I'm almost just a voyeur in that department. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not someone who really sees myself as a part of that scene.
Sure.
But there's just, I think part of why I do the job I do is I am more interested in being some kind of sexual anthropologist than...
That's so what you are. I love that. Trademark that.
Yeah. Than being necessarily into any kind of sexual subculture myself.
Sure.
But it's fun to be able to like dip in and out as a tourist, you know? But I think that power dynamics and sex are hot, you know? I don't need to use like a spreader bar and like...
Oh, no, I don't either.
Kind of, like industrial power tools with my sex life, but... I respect people who do.
Yeah. I've also been talking a lot about it lately. Like, I didn't really start exploring my dominant side until recently because media had given me such an extreme depiction of it. Yeah. Like, all I saw were like spreader bars and chains and lots of latex and all this stuff. And it was through following like a couple more like softer doms where I'm like, oh, you don't have to like light latex. So like, I just really try to encourage people to find their own version of BDSM and power dynamic stuff. Yeah,
I mean, you know, you're saying you're taking mistress class with Mistress Colette, and who's a friend of mine. And when I first met her, she really transformed the idea of what a dom was to me because she's so soft-spoken. She's like she's so warm.
Yes.
I mean, and she does have all the get-up and the whips and the latex, but she's not like... I think I used to think of doms as being like aggressive.
Yes, I did too. And I thought that too with like men. But then there's like, you know, a pleasure top is somebody that's just kind of more, more like guiding the scene. But their intention isn't, what's the word, sadist. You know, like I'm not a sadist. I don't like to inflict pain. I kind of like to receive a little bit, but I think that's how media shows it, is that BDSM and power dynamics are the dom like inflicting discomfort for their pleasure on somebody else. Whereas like, it's really not like that all the time.
No. And there are people like that and that's okay, but then they just have to find the right partner.
That is
like,
okay.
On Slutever, we interviewed this woman named Mrs. Lucy Sweetkill and she was like, I was just trying to remember if this is what she said, but it is what she said. So, okay, yes, we interviewed this dom, Mistress Lucy Sweetkill, and she was like, I'm a sadist. I get enormous amount of pleasure from inflicting serious pain. And so she had subs who really wanted that. Yeah. And I watched a scene in the dungeon with her where she was whipping this guy and she was whipping the guy. Like, there were huge marks, like lacerations, blood, and they were super connected. This was a long term sub. Like, he was also subbing for her in other aspects of her life, like doing her laundry or whatever. But
love it.
Yeah, I know. You're like, I get it. But they had found each other, and it really worked. But I think that's the idea of the dominatrix that we think of in society, and
it's
that's
actually the outlier.
An outlier, totally.
She's a very powerful woman, Colette. Like, soft-spoken but fucking powerful. And that's the thing, is it doesn't need to be this like verbal, intense. Like, I don't know. I'm really enjoying what I'm learning from her so far.
Me too. I think there's also when you see people being able to be dominant and they're soft-spoken, I think that often that can translate more control and more confidence than if someone's screaming, right?
Yes.
It's like kind of going to this idea of like, do this, do that. It's like, it seems almost sort of like insecure or performative, or the idea of what we think of as dominance is. And when I've seen her dom, she's loving.
Yes.
But she's also inflicting pain sometimes and very much in control, but it really is like a loving power exchange. And I think that part of why her mistress class is so popular is because that is something that you can really take into your own personal relationships, both in and out of the bedroom.
Exploring my dominance as somebody that thought I was submissive has been the most healing thing I've ever done, like truly, because I was the like bossy dominant chick or kid, bossy dominant. I was the one that led the group projects and like got invited to speak in classes, like did all of these things, but that was slowly, pushed down by society. And I just even remember my mom, who I love her, but was like, said something about being bossy as a kid. And like, you remember those little things and you start to think as you grow up, like, okay, women are supposed to be a little more passive and submissive and kind of follow. And that was really hard for me to navigate trying to build businesses and companies. And so like, this is me, like I am dominant in my like, at the core of who I am, but it took a lot of coming kind of back full circle to that. And now that I'm reconnecting with it, I mean, I just feel empowered to like go after what I want and to not let basically the patriarchy dictate my business moves. My job.
But then you kind of felt more comfortable being dominant in your professional life more so than in your sex life.
I'm still feeling, I'm pretty switchy. Like I love having like a dominant and submissive partner so that I can like kind of get into that relaxed subby space as well as kind of control the scene and create that pleasure. So switchy in the bedroom right now, but feeling very dominant and empowered in my professional life right now. It's good.
So what made you want to take the mistress class? This is this transformation or this exploration had predated it, I imagine.
A little bit. So I had started like virtually messaging and sexting with submissive guys and started playing a little bit. But I'm also just like such a good girl in the sense that I'm like, I want to do it right. I would never want to cross a boundary or like, it's important. But like, I was very like, I almost didn't do it until I did the mistress class, like an in-person scene or play with somebody submissive because I really wanted to do it right. But I also got to work on that because like, I think kink and sex has to be a little messy and you have to explore and things have to go a little haywire to know what both people want. And so I'd been following her for a long time and it just looks powerful. Honestly, what sold me is like how she has like all 100 women get together at the end for like her party. And I was like, that's fucking dope. Like so many powerful women in one place. So yeah, I've only done one. We've only had one class so far, but it was powerful. I cried. It was intense.
That's so nice. I went to one of these like Dom tea parties once, the mistress class ones.
Online? Or
I went to one of the parties where everyone gets together at the end. Yes. Or a couple, and it's so cool because people come from rural Tennessee.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I know. And I think that exploring that kind of BDSM world or the archetype of the dominatrix is really empowering for women beyond, just like
it goes way out of the bedroom.
Yeah. And I think like people think, oh, you take that class if you are trying to be a professional dom, but most people are not trying to be professional doms.
No, I've got other shit going on. Up until I discovered Mochi Melt, I felt like buying lube was an embarrassing thing. I would get it from Target, put it in my little bag and hide it. It also was just like not very presentable. I didn't want it on my bedside table. And when I found Mochi Melt, it just really changed my perception of lube in general. And I've honestly been using it in a lot more of my sexual experiences lately because it's just so different. Silky and smooth. It tastes delicious. It smells delicious. And it really elevates a sexual experience. I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about lube, and I honestly find that it enhances most sexual experiences. My favorite flavor of mochi melt is honeydew, and honestly, like you could eat it. It is so good. So go to mochimelt.com and use code THEA, THEA, for 15% off of your order, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Today's episode of Sex Talk Radio is sponsored by the HUD app. HUD offers an alternative approach to commitment-free dating and is geared towards supporting women in exploring their sexuality and intimacy in a safe way through conversations around consent, healthy communication, and boundary setting. HUD was the first to roll out safety features like auto-blur photos and video chat capabilities. I've been using the app for a little while now, and personally, my favorite feature is the bedroom feature, where I can see a glimpse into somebody's bedroom desires. So for example, it will literally say Thea's bedroom, and then BDSM, bondage, dirty talk, impact play, etc., which makes it that much easier to assess your sexual compatibility with someone. HUD is really future forward in how they're evolving their app, and I'm excited to continue using it for casual dating. Go to hudapp.com/sextalk, that's hudapp.com/SEGGS talk for a week on me. A quick note, the HUD app is available for both iOS and Android and is available to users over 18. What was the craziest thing you did on Slutever? Or the craziest thing you witnessed?
Oh my God.
Aside from peeing in mouths and stuff.
I did not witness any peeing in mouths and Slutever, but I did.
Oh, that was prior. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did actually have this experience. When I think of the craziest BDSM experience I ever had, so I went to this BDSM wedding that was...
Everything is out there.
Yeah, that was absolutely wild. So this woman I knew who's like a very successful scientist.
Love that shit.
Yeah, met...
Super smart people are kinky.
I know. She's like a kinky genius. She met this dom that she started dating. I think it was on FetLife.
Throwback.
Yeah, throwback.
I mean, it's still a thing, but it's weird.
Yeah, and it looks like y'all need to update this fucking website.
Yes, please.
But so I went to this BDSM wedding, and it was at this iconic dungeon in New York. And what happened was she was wearing this full white latex wedding dress.
Okay.
And she was like walked out on a chain, like down the aisle to some music. I don't think that it was the regular wedding music, but some kind of like orchestral music. She gets to the altar, and the altar is she's strung up on a St. Andrew's cross.
We're going to get so canceled in this clip.
Her dom is there, and putting the ring on her finger, literally like these like subs like lifted up her white latex dress, and he pierced her clit with the wedding ring. And it was like bleeding, and it was like insane. And we're all just like sitting there like in these like pews. Like
the fuck?
It was it was actually kind of amazing.
Not
beautiful.
Much gets me.
And then we just like went out to like dinner, like a normal dinner, like somewhere on the Upper East Side. I was like, LOL. But it was actually very beautiful. Like you could tell that they had carved their own path. It was not the most traditional of relationships, but it was working for them.
Wow. Wow. Did they sanitize before this clip piercing?
I have no idea. But I wasn't warned. I wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh, there's going to be like a clit piercing wedding ceremony. It was just like on the fly for me.
Was this in an episode?
No, that was just
like a perk of your research.
It was just like someone I kind of knew that invited me to her wedding. I was honored.
Yeah. It's interesting being in this public slut eye, because it's been kind of new for me. Maybe I can get some more tips from you. It's just been about a year, because it's like, yeah, you get invited to a lot of wild stuff. And I'm like, that's not really up my alley, but I guess you see me as, you know, the sex podcast girl.
What are you getting invited to? I got invited to a blowjob instruction the other day, and I was offended. I was like, excuse me?
I don't need that.
What are you saying? I don't need that.
No, I mean, nothing like a clit piercing wedding ceremony. Just I mean, like sex events. Like I'm just the sex podcast chick now. Just like you're like the Slutever girl. And it's just like, you want to do this crazy fucking thing? And usually I'm down. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get invited to sex parties?
Mm-hmm. The Austin scene is, there's one tonight at the Kinky Rabbit.
Oh, yeah. I went to that one once.
We're still waiting to hear back. So I hope we get to go to that. It's actually, they're kind of opening up to public a little bit. I think it's going to be like a shibari art show thing. I think it'll be really cool. Hoping to just see something other than the Austin scene. Because that's basically all I have. The only experience I have is kind of small, more intimate, curated play parties in Austin. But for me, goal is LA parties, New York parties, and then I'd really like to go to Berlin and like go to the sex clubs there. I would like to do some interviews there in Europe. Did you go over there for the show at all?
We went to Japan.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was really
the theme
fun.
Of that one?
It was...
Because they're into some shit.
I know. Japan, it was actually super fun. We did an episode about essentially male sex work and this kind of new industry where sort of, I guess this was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And Japan at that time was sort of experiencing this cultural shift in which a lot of more women were working financially.
Just 10 years ago?
Well, I think it was like behind in that department where it's like women were now like financially solvent, like financially independent enough that they didn't need to be married.
Ooh, are women hiring sex workers over there?
And so, yeah, it was
this.
like a kind of new industry where, because, I mean, I don't want to sort of like generalize about Japanese culture, but basically they're behind us in terms of women being financially independent enough to not need a husband, but also kind of culturally lagging behind that in terms of what men expected their wives to, the role they expected them to play. Like, I want you to cook for me. You know,
there's less of that.
No, they were still like, I think my wife should be subservient to me and cook. And so we were interviewing a lot of these women that were like, I'm actively avoiding a relationship. Like, I don't need one now. I make my own money, but if I marry a guy, he's going to want me to like be a domestic slave, right?
I see what you're saying.
So a lot of we were meeting these women who were becoming more interested in like paying for sex and paying for companionship.
Wow.
And so we did an episode about these men who worked in sort of like companion industries.
Okay.
And some of them, one of the kind of most interesting were these like cuddle boyfriends.
Oh, I've heard of the cuddle girlfriends, I think, in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these were just like guys who would come over, like hot, cute guys, and they almost play this like domestic boyfriend role where it's like
love,
non-sexual, but you do a lot of like cuddling and sleeping next to each other.
It's a relationship
maybe
on your complete own terms.
Yeah. And like that spans for 4 hours or whatever.
Right. Great.
And then another aspect of it, which was crazy, is there are these crying boys, they're called, and they come into your like home or into your workplace. Sometimes like bosses hire this to happen as part of for their employees.
Like, this is great for your mental health.
Yeah, where they show them sad videos and then they cry together. And then he like plays like a harp.
Wait. Start over again? What?
Yeah. So it actually, I'm not even explaining it well, but
no, I just got lost.
There's this thing.
Like that it's cathartic to cry with someone?
Yes.
I mean, it is.
Yeah. So there is this industry in Japan. They're called crying boys, and they will come to your workplace or your home. And if you feel sort of like emotionally stifled or repressed, they will play sad videos. Literally, the videos were like people being left at the altar, like dogs being hit by a car with like crazy sad music. And then everyone just cries together. Yes. It's like an emotional purge. Yeah. And then these crying boys are like hot though.
Okay.
They like come and they're like hot. They're like hot and they play the harp and they cry with you. I know. It was actually quite fascinating. I was crying. I was like, yeah, like this video of a dog being hit by a car is sad.
I would love to learn about your last adventure, which I have not had time to listen to yet, is the podcast series you created.
Oh, yeah. It was so fun. I did this podcast last year called Sanctum Unmasked that is about the rise and fall of the world's most elite sex club, or what became known as that, called Sanctum. It was a sex club that ran.
Very on brand for you.
I know. It was actually fascinating. A lot of the podcast was about the story of the guy who created it, Damon Lawner. He created it in 2013 when he was $1 million in debt, living with his wife and 2 kids in his mother-in-law's kitchen because they were so broke, and homeless.
Where fancy sex club ideas all start.
I know. And he like was up one night depressed watching Eyes Wide Shut and was like, maybe I can do that. And started.
I like Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh my God.
Turns me on a little bit.
I watch it every Christmas. It's a Christmas movie.
Is it? Is that when it takes place?
It takes place over Christmas.
Ooh,
and
I'm
so
gonna make this a new routine.
It actually has such a Christmassy vibe. Okay. So every Christmas, people watch It's a Wonderful Life, and I watch Eyes Wide Shut.
As you would.
But it's about like basically at the peak of this club's success, the most expensive yearly membership was $425,000. People were paying $425,000. Yes. And what they would get is like they would get inducted into the secret society, and there was this, they would read, Damon would read from an ancient scroll to the inductee, and then they would sign their name in blood on the scroll, and then they would have this orgy with these sex workers.
Did this end up like falling apart and people go to jail kind of thing, or like?
Nobody went to jail, but they did have like an LA sheriff on their side for a while who's like a member.
Holy shit.
Who was,
This is going to be a movie someday, feels like.
Hoping to make it into a TV show, TBD.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
It's a pretty wild story. Then he sold the club in 2019 and then sold it to new management, and it reopened like post-pandemic, and I went to it.
But not under his
his thing. The thing that is an issue, I think, about these high-end sex clubs is that the gender dynamics get kind of messed up.
Because the women go for free and the men pay, and then it's like expectations. And
yeah, I mean, if women are going for free based on the currency that they're hot.
Yes.
Because you have to show photos.
But also, I don't want to pay $400 tonight, so I'm down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's literally $400.
But I mean, also... $400 actually it's definitely a lot, but on the scale of how much people pay for these, it's low. Like to get into Sanctum, men are paying $10,000.
Holy fuck.
I know, $50,000 for a yearly membership. Like it's a lot.
And consensual vibes? Like, I don't know. Tell me more about the story.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've realized the more sex parties cost, the less the people at these parties actually have sex.
Wow.
I truly think there's a correlation between those because I've gone to everything from sex parties that are absolutely free, and curated by small groups of people.
People are fucking at those. I mean, the ones I've gone to, it's like people are in a pile. We're fucking.
Like instantaneously. Right? Because you're inviting people that are a part of that world and know are there for a reason.
And it's safe and trusty and referrals of applications. Literally.
References.
Literally.
And then often I think when you are going to these parties where people are paying upward of $1,000, $5,000.
They're like, I'm rich. I want to wear a suit and watch people fuck. Like, is it kind of that pretentious?
Or it's like, I got to pay to have friends. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get invited to this stuff because because I'm a desirable party guest. Or because I know people in this scene. I'm like an outsider. I'm fucking rich. And I want to be the kind of person that goes to a sex party. And I don't want it to
check it off my list, too.
And check it off my list. And I don't want it to be the kind that I can just buy a $50 ticket to. I want it to be the fancy one. But it's really hard to get in. And you have to be really rich. And I want it to be exclusive.
Okay, but you're really crushing my fantasies right now.
But it's true. And then they go and they're not the kind of people that are going to fuck in front of strangers. So it's just a lot of rich people standing around doing coke being like, is somebody going to fuck? And then the only people that fuck are the performers.
Okay. All right.
But
maybe we need to create a sex club then or something.
I went to Kinky Rabbit and it was not... there was a lot of people having sex at that one.
Love to watch.
Moderately. Like there's ones that I've been to that are cheaper. It's like a gigantic Bacchanalia Roman orgy. The minute this consent talk ends, everyone's like going ham.
People are wild.
Are you excited about Kinky Rabbit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm manifesting that we get in. Yeah.
I thought you got invited. Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. We're TBD. We're working on it. This is a plot heavy trip, as Millicent says, and we're just rolling with the flow. Going with it. We want to go down to actually like in a little bit, we want to go down to Hollywood. I got a pink mic. You're welcome to come with us if you'd like. And we're going to just like do some street interviews and talk about like, I have these little signs. What's your kinkiest fantasy?
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Switch. I know. It feels very up your alley.
Wait, I actually can't today because I have plans, but I would die to watch that.
Great. Okay. Yeah. I want to, some limiting beliefs have been coming up for me about it because I just like, I don't know, feel like it's a little cringe, but I think it'll be great.
It'll be, as long as you're funny and you're lighthearted. It's like you just.
I know.
you're not going to take it too seriously.
No.
I'm so curious about the kind of, are you going to go on like Hollywood Boulevard with like next to Chewbacca, like in Spider-Man?
So, but then I think instead of the sign, we're going to like pick people out that are like, oh, like they give a good vibe, or like, I don't know.
Yes, maybe, exactly.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of funny if people had a bad vibe as well.
Okay, fine. I'll take your journalistic advice. Then in that case, maybe we'll just hold up the sign and see what comes our way. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been delightful. So I feel like we are, kindred slutty spirits, and I really appreciate all the work you've done in the space. And thank you.
Thanks. I love your podcast. I'm so excited that we got to hang out.
Yay. Thank you so much for tuning into Sex Talk Radio. Please connect with us on social media. You can also learn more about my adventures and stories on my private Patreon. Go to patreon.com/sexymusings. That is SEGGSY musings.